with some luck, we'll have some time to answer questions. But if we don't, I'd like to invite you to the hall out here, windows, I guess. They're going to have a band thing here about 1:30. So we have till that time, and then if we have questions that need to extend further, I'm the ever-ready bunny and talk forever about interior design. So I'd love to further your questions if you have some after the class. I am so thankful to Ollie for inviting me here, for George specifically for inviting me to teach this class and to present this information to you today, which hopefully you'll be able to get see my enthusiasm for interior design and learn a few new things along the way. I think that the world is made up of rule followers and rule breakers. And then some of us that are rule benders, because I don't want to define myself as rule breakers, and I really am. And I think that there are a lot of times when you'll hear you have to do this, you should never do this, and as a rule in interior design, I don't believe that. So I think that your home is such a personal space, and if someone says you can't, or you must do something in your home, that's not right. So as I'm presenting these ideas to you and sharing these things with you, please internalize them and know that they're set for guidelines to help you make your decisions easier and your search for making your home be its best for you. But it's definitely not something you should always hold fast to. So we're going to talk about some secrets today, some tricks, some advice, tips, and some lessons. I have this going down smaller because these things can apply in all different stages in life. So if you're trying to move to a larger home, if you're trying to downsize and go from a home you've been in for many, many years to a small retirement community, I love working with people and really having them think about how their space is going to change and really using these ideas when you're transitioning spaces or you're trying to make a big change in your space. If you sign up for this class, so you know what we're going to be talking about, but these are the things that hopefully we'll be able to go through and be able to give you some new ways of looking at your space. When I work with a new client, the most important thing I look at, and which helps simplify the whole process, is looking at consistencies. I look for consistencies in color, in style, and in quality. And if you keep that in mind as an overall idea of guiding your interior design motivations, then it really will simplify the whole process. Color consistency is the first thing we're going to talk about. This again, Interior Design 101. This suggestion or rule does not apply to all situations. But what I'm going to give you are things that hopefully, again, will help you and make your design decisions more simple. You want to choose these three colors for your living space, for your room, or your main level of your home from things that are hardscaped in. Hardscape details we'll talk about more. Current rugs or fabrics, your art, and your design style, which will also give you color cues. Let's see. Some of you have probably already heard of this rule, the 60-30-10 rule. It's a really wonderful guide in helping you get color balance in a room. Now, I have a handout in those brochure bags in the back. The one side talks about this in detail, this dominant, secondary, and accent color. And if you didn't get a brochure bag, there are some, because I only have 95. I guess and so if there's not enough for everyone, there's some handouts back there you can have. So we're going to look for choosing three colors, and we're going to look at the balance of those colors. 60% should be your dominant color, 30% of the color in the room should be your secondary, and 10% is your accent color. We're going to carry that 10, 30, 60 guideline rule one step further. Envision a room in your house and look at it from a bird's eye point of view, so aerial view. Divide your room into 4 quadrants. And I have this on a handout right here, so if you're looking for information, there's a lot more detail on here than you probably ever want to have. In each quadrant, you want to have, to achieve good color balance, 60% of the color that you see in each quadrant, your dominant color. 30% should be in 3 of the quadrants, and 10%, your secondary or accent color, should be in 3 other quadrants. What this does is it creates a ribbon of color throughout your room, and it gives you continuity in your room, and it doesn't give too much weight on one side, or too much heaviness on one side. So nice balance throughout the room. There's different ways of achieving color in your room. There's the floor level, mid-level, which is furniture and tabletop things, and eye level. So that's a way to spread color, not only in the 4 quadrants, but at different heights throughout the room. The best way to get your dominant color, obviously, is to paint the walls. It gets in all 4 quadrants, and it gets at all different levels of the room. But not everyone wants to put 60% of the color on the walls. So you can use the color of your floor could be dominant color, but could be extended to window panels on your window treatments or through your large furniture. So just look at color kind of differently and the weight and the shift of it. We're going to go one step further and actually look at this as an example of this 60-30-10 rule and how you have a very light color. So your 60 dominant color is a very neutral backdrop for your accent color and for your secondary color. And here's an example of just a slight shift in tone, not shift in color, between the 60 and 30. So you can have some interest and variation in a room, but it's only done by enriching the same gray color. So making it a rich color for the carpet and the same 30% for your different accents. But it's the real 10% that really pops, and it has a more of a monochromatic look to the room. We're going to carry this even another step further and take that same 3 colors, but we're going to shift the weight and shift intensity and tonal quality and maybe even brightness on a main level. So a lot of times people will say, have me over and they want to not just do a room, but kind of refine your whole space. So again, making it more simple, simplifying the process, we define those 3 colors, and they may be like we have here. We have a green, a brown, and a blue, but we don't want to use the dominant color, the same dominant color in all the different spaces on their main level. So you shift the weight, and you also might shift the intensity and the brightness. Here's an example actually from my own house. So here, oops, I don't want to do that. Let's see. Here is my entryway, and it's a Venetian plaster, bright green, and I have my favorite color is red. Actually, I'll talk more about red. So this is Benjamin Moore's dinner party. It's a deep rich kind of brown red. And then down here is where you kind of turn the corner from my entryway into my living room. And you can see I have the same dinner party on here, so it's about quality picture, on this piece of furniture here that I painted. And then from my inside of my house looking, you see the entryway here, and this is my living room. And then here's the living room where the same greens have now been really yellowed down. They're much warmer, they're much more green, much more grayed down, softer tones. And then the 10% is the red in here, as opposed to the 30% being in here. So we kind of shifted the weight and have a good transition between the 2. Most of you already know this, and again, I'm going to give a little disclaimer here. I don't mean to condescend to any of you. A lot of you might already study interior design, or maybe even be interior designers, or watch tons of HGTV, and know all these tricks and tips. Hopefully, you will learn a few new things, but some of the stuff I'm sure you already know this. But there are definite differences in how a room feels, if it's a cool tone room or a warm tone room. And people generally have real preferences, whether they like cool tones or whether they like warm tones. And it'll definitely have a different feel depending on what your preference is. There are different ways of combining colors and really having the room feel differently depending on how you use those colors and the different ways that they play together. Here is an example of a complementary color. Opposites on the color wheel are complementary colors, obviously. High contrast, high energy. If you put an orange and a blue in a room, the orange will totally make that blue pop, and the blue will make the orange really stand out. Very strong, very energizing if you want to have a room where you want to get a lot of stuff done, like an office space, or a room like a restaurant. You want to have high contrast colors. Monochromatic rooms are just the opposite. They are the most soothing rooms. So you have just variations on the same color. And that will be very soothing and very relaxing, and there's not much to draw your attention, and it just feels very calm in that room. On this kind of in between are colors that are right next to each other on the color wheel. Those give some interest and some variation, but they have it in a more calming way because there is less contrast between the different colors that you're using. So that's a calming room, but still has some interest and energy. And the triadic room is a very strong room, very well grounded in colors and energy, and I love using triads if you can. Not many people go with those. I love to use grayed down colors. Blues are, in a color study I just attended recently, most Americans' favorite color is blue. It lowers your pulse. It actually does things, and color actually will do things to you whether consciously or subconsciously. And some of that is geographically based. For instance, in China, only the emperor could wear yellow, so the royal color in China is yellow, but in America, it's purple. So, but there are also things that happen to you physically without you even knowing it when you're in different colored rooms, and one of those is blue. Grayed down blues are so elegant and so beautiful, and it's kind of hard to find them. People say they want to have a soft blue, they put it up on the wall, and it looks like a baby boy's room. So these are some surefire blues, and one of my favorite actually is this first color right here, Santorini blue, which I use all the time. I'm going to show you some examples. Here's two, oops, here's a room right here where I use Santorini blue in a beautiful master bathroom suite. And it shows the contrast between the blue, gray wainscoting here, the Carrara marble, and the black, absolute black countertops. You can see how beautifully that contrasts together. And you will see in all the bathroom pictures that I do, I love, my favorite room to renovate or to look at are bathrooms because it's high, huge transformation, really quickly done, and it's so fun to do bathrooms and to have the challenge of trying to do each one really unique to my clients. But one of my goals in life is to get rid of forever vanity lights over sinks. I hate those. It's my goal in life to eliminate them from the world and to replace them with either sconces or ceiling light fixtures. This light fixture you can't actually see. There's a beautiful light fixture in this room here that you can't see in any of these pictures. Here's another example of Santorini blue. This is the Benjamin Moore color I'm talking about. In a stairwell, what's contrasted against the brown and how rich and elegant that looks with a softer color of the brown and the beautiful picture molding in this stairwell here. Here are some grayed down greens. So greens, again, more than grayed down, they have a more elegant feel to them. And they're more palatable when you gray down colors. Green is a really wonderful neutral. Because it's made from a warm color and a cool color, it's a great transitional color. It's a bridge, and it goes with almost everything. You have to get it right though. A mid-green does not look good at all with a yellow down green. And a real emerald green looks really funky when you put it against kind of a blue-green. So the greens have to be right, or an olive green. But when they're right, they're fantastic. I love to insert green in every single space I design, whether it's a plant or whether it's or plants, and or whether it's a border and picture frames. But it's kind of like the neutral, go-to, great bridge for everything. Here's an example of not grayed down green and how beautiful it is. Green is really relaxing, but at the same time refreshing. Because you look outside, actually in that same color study class, it was shown, they asked people to rate their approval of different colors. And green was like, even though it wasn't most Americans or people taking this favorite color, it was like approval rating of like 99%. People don't even read green, because especially like in Virginia, where we live, not so much Arizona where my daughter lives, but in Virginia, you look outside and you see massive amounts of this intense green color. I mean, imagine if that were a purple or something. But the green, we don't even read this intense, vibrant green color. And so it's a color that also feels safe. People love it. It kind of instills a feeling of safety, but also is invigorating at the same time, like I say, relaxing. Here is an example of combining the two, blues and greens, of a client of mine who wanted to, we totally redid this living where we started from scratch. We started with her, with the rug, which I'll talk about even more, but of course that's always anchor for the room, and found these fabric here. This is different fabric on this, actually is a recliner, and a wall color to match everything. And then these window panels actually are off the rack. These are a Bed Bath & Beyond, we found these at Pier 1 actually. They're lined, inner lined, And that's something we'll talk about with quality. You know, I love doing custom window treatments, but if you can find something that works, that looks like it is high-end. So one trick is that we didn't put just one panel, but this is 2 panels here together. So it's substantial, it doesn't look cheap on a big window, it's a big picture window here. And they're lined. Always look for lined off the rack and the right height. This is hung at the correct height. So you have it a 1/2 inch off the floor here. I'm not a believer in puddling or breaking. I like it 1/2 inch off the floor myself. But that's a personal preference. Not everybody has to. It's not a rule. It's a personal preference. And so these look great in this room, and it saves us some money. This rug and these 2 furniture pieces here and the pillows are from Bassett Furniture. And also, so is this piece of art here, I think, and the side table actually. So we got some different things from Bassett, who was kind enough actually to loan me this side panel, this panel here, and this lamp. And there's some brochures in the brochure bags from Bassett Furniture. They're a great resource for me. I really love working with them. Here's an example of some other anomalous colors, which are next to each other on our color wheel. A blue and a green, but in a more vibrant color. So you can see how that's still soothing because next to each other on the color wheel, but also refreshing and invigorating. And here's a warm palette of colors right next to each other. This is a beautiful monochromatic room with one of my favorite colors. I have like 4 or 5 favorite colors, but Revere Pewter is like a magical color. It goes with everything. And it's a really hot color right now. If you study interior design or if you talk to people at paint stores, it's like one of the most sold colors. Color Wheel is in McLean is one of my really great resources also. They've also given me some brochures in the back, in the brochure bags. And when I talked to the owner there the other day, I asked him what's his most high-selling color. He said still is Revere Pewter. So it's not, and that's without me saying what's my favorite color too. It goes with almost everything. It's a warm gray color. And in here you can see there's a little bit of a pop for these windows of contrast, but other than that, it's just shades of taupe. And this is a Revere Pewter on the wall here. This is a stock picture that I pulled up of Revere Pewter. And here are some little popular grays. You can see, right now gray is all the rage. And it's interesting, when I started the business, when I started working in interior design about 20 years ago, about half the people I worked with would say, gray's depressing. I don't want any gray in my house, I want to get rid of the gray. It's such a depressing color. And then the other half would say, gray is so elegant and beautiful. I love how it goes with everything. And it looks so crisp and lovely. Now it's shifted. A lot more people love gray, and less people say they don't like gray. I very rarely join with someone that says gray is depressing. So there's been a shift. Here, right here in this corner is Revere Pewter, my favorite color. You can't really read it because of the quality. But you can see how this is a warm gray down here. It looks gray on the wall, but when you put it against a true gray, like these up here, it looks very, very warm. There's also these blue undertone grays and then some green undertone grays over here. All of these are different colors, but all of these are really, really beautiful. And it goes to prove a point that the perfect color is the perfect color. So I work as a color consultation for Color Expressions Paint Company. And so the owner will call me and say, you know, we do these hour consultations. So I'm not an interior designer, I'm a color consultant, which is a different hat for me to wear. So I go there and they say, we have this new house we want to paint. So what color should we paint? And I said, what do you have? Because it will be an empty house, but I have no motivation for those colors. So they'll say they want a gray color, and I'll say, but what kind of gray? So it really does make a difference when it's the right color. Revere Pewter is a go-to because it goes with almost everything, but if you have really cool blue stuff, it doesn't look quite right. So the right color really is key. This is a backlash against gray and too much gray. Last year, the Benjamin Moore Color of the Year was Simple White. I mean, you couldn't get more simple or more white than Simply White. And this year, 2017, the color of the year is Shadow, this really rich, beautiful purple. It's a gray down purple, but it's not super gray down. Like in real life, this is a real intense purple color, which is very different than what they've had for the last few years. So I think people are kind of reacting to like so much gray that they want to have some rich color now. So that's interesting. This is a room that I did a few years ago for a woman that lives in a condo in Alexandria, older woman that had a beautiful collection of art that she's touched over the years. She's got some seriously awesome stuff and travels the world all the time. And she has some sculptural, beautiful antique furniture here. And we had this piece reupholstered in a very appropriately fabric for this piece. She's got some beautiful art here that I wanted to have be a backdrop. This was actually a maroon piece right here, so I painted it in a semi-gloss, the same color as the wall, which is inner balance. We got some new furniture, which also went with this, so it's very, very monochromatic in this green downgrade, this little slight green undertone, but looks really beautiful and just highlights all of her beautiful art and sculptures that she has. This is another gray room that I did, and we'll see this room again when we talk about different motivations. But this room was very different looking. I wish I had a before picture of it. These were brown, knotty pine that my client wanted to tear out, and they had an ugly fireplace here. I refaced the fireplace, which I do all the time now in transitional homes. So people want to have something more current. We reface the fireplace with stacked stone. This is from a company called El Dorado stone, which is a manufactured stone. It's lighter, it's less expensive, and it's easier to work with than a real stone, and works in a lot of different applications. So we painted the back of the bookcases the same color as the wall, and then the shelves in the white semi-gloss trim. And it really shows off all of their treasures they looked abroad, and it still looks very simple and very elegant. Here are some examples of how you can use complementary colors and really energize this space. And again, this shows the difference between the blues contrasted with the oranges, and how you can have different shades of blue. Over here, for instance, you've got this more Williamsburg colonial blue down here with this more rust tone, and over here you've got it in this real rich, bright orange with this gorgeous teal color here. Orange is a color that's so interesting to me. Orange actually has been proven that your brain is more active in an orange room. And it's a great color for an office. And orange is a color that people hate, which is interesting. But a lot of people have hardscape in their houses without them knowing it. I see it in Florida all the time, where their floors are orange, really, really rust. But they hate it, so they design ignoring it, and it looks really odd. So if you've got orange hardscaped in your cabinetry, or in your flooring, or even in the wood furniture you have, I don't recommend ignoring it. You can if you want to. I don't recommend ignoring it, because it will not feel very purposeful. It will feel out of place, it will stick out. So orange is really a great color. People say that because it stimulates the brain, it makes the brain more active, it can bring joy, it can cause happiness. So it is a great color. It also has it's the warmest feeling color. So if you like reds or orange or warm colors, orange is going to feel even warmer than a red. And you can see how this contrast of these complementary colors in particular really make each other pop. If you have something that's orange that you really want to have stand out, put it against a blue wall, and it will really, really jump out at you. Here are some opposites on the color wheel: red and green, two of my favorite colors. That's my favorite color, and I haven't mentioned that already. And you can see how, again, the opposites really make each other pop. Nice contrast. These are my favorite red colors. I have some of these paint chips in the back. Has anybody painted a room red? Raise your hand. You can actually apply paint on a wall that's red. Okay, there you go. So you can sympathize. I started this business because we're renovating houses. So I'm a little bit of a different interior designer. I'm sledgehammer bathrooms. We couldn't afford a home, so we did the work all ourselves. And after 2 houses, we were over-renovating. And I was like, we're working too hard. I need to take some interior design classes and figure out what we need to do so that we don't over-renovate. We're renovating to the end, not just to tear out walls and rewire and re-insulate. And so I've painted a lot on drywall, installed toilets, done wiring. So everything I have my sons do for me now, I've actually done, actually all in the wet cell. So the red paint is a nightmare. If you've ever painted, I have used a gallon per wall before this wonderful red aura paint was created a few years ago. And now it's a pleasure to paint something red, like my front door, like that piece, because it's a 2-coat coverage red, which means a lot if you've actually painted something red. If you're going to paint something red, I recommend one of these 2 colors. This is my small little half bath in my house. This is a National Geographic wall mural that I love. I love red and love roses. And this is caliente, which is this color right here. And my front door is this dinner party, which this is not a very good representation of this red. It's more of a barn red. It's a real rich barn red. And pomegranate is the color that is in between these two. So it's not quite as modern looking as Caliente, and it's not as browned down as dinner party. But it's a great, they're all three great reds. So here's an example of a room that I did not design, but I found online, that I don't like. This is a beautiful room, but the balance is totally off. And the balance is off because they did not use the contrast correctly. So you can see if they were to bring more red over here, the balance would be better. Red is the most attention-getting color there is. Also, the darker the color, the more weight it has, the more visual weight it has. So black has a lot of visual weight. Red has a lot of visual weight. A little red goes a very long way. And you can look like you have a red room when all you have are little accents in your room. I have a kitchen that has like bands on my window treatments and red accents all through my kitchen. But someone said the other day, you have a red kitchen. And I'm like, no, I have a yellow kitchen, but I have lots of red accents. Not even 10%, I would say. But because it's all over the room, it reads as a red room. Here they use it wrong. Here they have it just in this window treatment here, and in a little bit of these flowers, and that's it. So, contrast with caution. Make sure you use that 10% well with ribbons around the room. This is one of my favorite rooms that I designed. I helped this woman through her whole house. She renovated the house that she grew up in, bought from her parents, and added a huge addition, huge upstairs. Did almost all the work herself, but I helped her with colors and some other materials, tiles, things like that. It was a huge project for her, and the last room was this living room. And I wanted to work on this living room from the get-go. So I kept saying, Karen, we've got to do your living room, we've got to do your living room. And she loved Tuscany style. We're going to show this again, because we're going to talk about motivation for river. We now want to talk about this contrast wall. Oh my gosh. This wall was very awkward. She had a very traditional fireplace here that her parents had, and she wanted her house to look very Tuscany, very sienna colors, very, very Italian. She loved that. She had traveled there a lot and loved these sienna colors, Tuscany colors. They're all throughout her main level. Refaced the fireplace with a stone fireplace that was consistent with that Mediterranean feel, and had this very awkward wall, this very long stance, with the fireplace not in the center of the wall. So we have this big empty blank space and it's too long for just a sitting room. Very, very, very long. And so we had to divide the space into zones. She inherited this beautiful piano. I wish you could see this piano. It was gorgeous. 1920s carved legs piano. And that was one of the reasons why we were waiting to redo the room, because she was waiting for this piano to come to her. But we have a sitting area here, which now we can center on this fireplace, and then this dining area over here. But what I wanted to do, and I had to do some talking into about this, was to really make that fireplace stand out. So I wanted to bring the dark wall over that. And she didn't really want to draw attention to it because she thought it was a very odd wall. But what it ended up doing was really centralizing that fireplace and making that the focal point, really standing out. This is a grass cloth. We'll show you on another picture, we'll show you some of the breakout of these different fabrics that we have. It's a really rich, beautiful grass cloth that goes perfectly with the rug and this fabric that we found to go with this all together. This is all from calico. This couch and these two pieces here, and actually this piece over here, which is our inspiration piece for the whole main level, actually, of these two slipper chairs, which is hard to see, and then this striped fabric, which we'll see later. And then we were lucky enough to find this beautiful art right here that you can't see super well, but there's all the beautiful colors, and even the light blue that's in the rug down here is in this beautiful picture that we've done at Z Gallery. And this is also in these accent pieces here and here, that little 10% blue. This is a way to accent. So the first one was accent to kind of make this space more interesting and make the space make more sense. This is a truck, and this is actually my daughter's home in Arizona. This is her first home, and it's basically built in a big development. All the houses are exactly the same. You just build all these things, they build them as cheap as they can build them. It's a great starter home, but there's funky things about it. And I wanted to try and make it be a little bit more elegant looking and more of an upgrade. The builder put this overhang here that's 6 inches. I mean, what the heck? You can't put bar stools up against that. And so, it's granite, yes, that's very lovely. They also have really kind of cheap cabinets here. And they're maple, they're not painted white or anything like that. So I wanted to have this really have some interest. Her husband also loves red. She wasn't really sure about these red couches we wanted, but her husband and I were so excited about these red leather couches, and they look great. And then we were able to find these panels. These are off the rack panels here that are lined, and they're actually embroidered too. They're beautiful, which gave us this color palette of this kind of tan. This is Cedar Key from Benjamin Moore. It's a really wonderful, again, kind of taupey color. And we have this color here in this alcove right here, and in the kitchen. But what I wanted to do was something underneath of here. You can see this is really right at your eye level. When you're coming into the house, you see it. So this is a stencil wallpaper that really kind of adds some elegance and some interest and upgrades the space, I think. Here is another example of tying these together. This was a whole house renovation I did with the family over the last 7 years. I've been working with them on this big house, renovated all the bathrooms and the kitchen, and basically every space, even outside of the house, we worked on. And they had a beautiful big fireplace. Where did that fireplace picture go? Oh, it's gone. They have a beautiful fireplace over here that wasn't a picture there last night. I don't know what happened to that. And it is basically the same stone right here that we found, and it ties together the fireplace, which is in this part of the room, with this with the back of the kitchen. So it ties the space together. These are very simple, basic, renovate on a budget. This bedroom was just basic white walls, and we wanted to elevate it. And so we did the master bathroom, which you'll see in a few. It's a very small, tiny little bathroom that we totally changed. But this room, we found some great art from Home Goods, and this is a Pottery Barn quilt. And we did an accent wall here to really kind of offset it and make it some more interest with these blues. If you're going to have an accent wall, have a reason for having a painted accent wall. The other day I was with new clients who were doing their bathroom, but we also wanted to look at painting in their bedroom off of it. Very odd, one of those houses in Arlington that have no straight walls anywhere. And so they wanted to have an accent wall, and they said, we want to paint this wall here, which I looked at the wall to the side, and it has a door to the bathroom and a door to their closet. And they said, we're thinking about accent wall here, and I thought, why would you want to highlight the doors to your bathroom and the doors to your closet? Because that's what happens when you have contrast, that's where you look. And they said, well, it's because the one over the bed is really odd shaped, and you want to draw attention to that. You do not need an accent wall in a room, and the only reason why you should have an accent wall in a room is to really highlight something interesting, or to hide something, or to accentuate something, or to elevate something. Not just to have an accent wall. So think about your motivation. Here's a small little powder room that is 12 by 12 inch granite tiles that I stacked as a really beautiful accent wall in a small bathroom. It was very inexpensively done because the materials were inexpensive, but it looks so elegant. And the mirror is actually inset in the granite slab, tiles to be flush with the granite, so it's almost like a hole in the wall. It's one of my favorite little bathrooms. And then we have a black toilet here and a black vanity base that kind of blends in. And had an artist, actually, a faux artist, come and pull out one of the little peach undertones in the tile in that bathroom. Yeah, here's kind of an opposite one that I did with a client. She has a beach house, loves bringing her beach house type look to her home here. And I've done the opposite of what is usually done, with the dark walls and the light accent wall. This actually was brown again here. We repainted these white, and this was a different fireplace, just a brick fireplace, peach brick fireplace that we restacked with the texture and a more current look. This is another room that I did, but I love this room and how it shows to bring balance. So you've got these really dark framed windows over here. You've got these dark couches and this beautiful carpet here. And what they've done is bring balance with this dark wall back here and added the judge's paneling. I think this is a beautiful example of accenting to bring balance in the room. This is an example of an accent wall that I did in a kitchen really recently. This I just wrapped up actually just a few weeks ago. I am really lucky to have a partnership with some Amish Mennonite cabinet builders out of Indiana. I worked with the last 6 years that built anything for me, and at a really amazing price point, completely customized. It's a small family business. And so I can get really great cabinets and have it be painted exactly what I want in the exact right style I want. This is an interesting style because my client loves old English, European things. Her whole house is full of these things that she's inherited or that she has collected over the years, including her antique china that she had in her old kitchen, kind of hanging up on the wall. So we use that as her motivation and her style for this kitchen. I think that that kind of an English feel is epitomized by toile. And this is an example of a toile wallpaper. And we found this granite. I don't know if any of you have renovated kitchens or know this, but granite is an emotional purchase. People don't just say, I want to have this granite. Usually, unless it's like a style stone or I'm working with someone that just wants to get it done, usually it's like emotional. Like, I love this granite, it brings me joy and happiness, and this is the granite I want to have. And that happened here for this client, and it has some red undertones in it, and lots of grays, with a little bit of a green-gray undertone. And it went perfectly with this toile that I found. And this floor planks here. I laid the floor planks, if you can see it here, on an angle, so it gives it a real curved look. And what I wanted to do, this is not their forever home. They're probably here for 10 more years. So I wanted it to be transitioned to someone else's style. So we did things that are hardscaped in, like the granite is pretty neutral, even though it has some red undertones to it. We did a floor that is kind of a wood look plank, but it is not a brown. And it's put on a diagonal to really add interest to the room. The cabinetry is painted in a color that looks perfect with the granite, but it's a little bit of a yellow, warmer undertone to it. The poles you can change. She has them very ornate. And the chandelier also was something that is really more her style. And wallpaper is easy to change. I didn't wallpaper the whole room because I wanted to draw you into the kitchen, and I wanted to have a really nice accent for the whole kitchen. And then not to take away from the granite, which is quite busy. So, accent to accentuate a style, and to really draw you into a room. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some difficulties when you're choosing your color, assuming that you haven't chosen the color here. This is the number one, not choosing the color at all. I can't tell you how many times I go into people's homes and they say, I've been living in a dorm. They have some beautiful things, but they have that, clay-based primer paint. That's not really a paint that the contractor puts on the wall. It's like a primer for waiting for paint. Super, super flat. It shows fingerprints if you touch it. And people live like that for 10 years, 15 years, so we can't make a decision about what color paint to put on the wall. Too bright. It's kind of, I'm getting okay with it, but it used to freak me out when people said they want yellow walls. Because I'd be like, oh no, I'm not getting The challenge of getting yellow walls right is really huge. Who's painted a room yellow before? And who's had that room come out neon? Okay, so a few of you know what I'm talking about, right? A yellow chip looks completely different on the wall. I can't tell you that I've had a couple horror stories where I go there and I'm like, oh my gosh. So now I have my 5 go-to yellows that are historic colors that I'm actually gonna, one of the brochures that Color Wheel gave to me to put in your brochure bag is called Historic Collection. And this does not have all the historic colors in it, but usually these colors are my go-to colors. I will start with the historic colors from the historic color band, Deck Adventure and more. And the yellows in here are awesome. So if you're interested in the yellows, start with the historic color yellows. Even if you think they're too gray down on here, they're not. I promise they're not. they're going to be bright once they get on the wall. So always, go a step back. If people say, oh, I want it to look bright, I'm like, I promise this will be bright. Being too cautious, go bold if it's the right color. I have people all the time say, I don't want to be dark because I don't want to close in the room, or I want to make the room feel smaller. I strongly believe, and it's shown again and again, that the right color is the right color. It's not too dark, it's not too light. If it's the right color, it makes the room feel right. If you're afraid that it's going to be too dark and you go a shade that doesn't actually coordinate with your rug and with your furnishings, then it doesn't look right. So the right color is the right color, whether it's an intense color or whether it's a light color, it should be the right color. If you look at a sample on the wall only one time a day, so you're like, the light changes completely, as you know, from morning to night or from afternoon. And in a lot of colors will look very different depending on what is reflected in that room at different times of the day. So big samples are good to have, and looking at different times of day. I have people, again, yellow is kind of one of my biggest offenders here, about putting a paint chip on a wall that's yellow. If you put a green or any color on a wall that's yellow, the color around it reflects it and really makes it hard to actually see in reality what that color is going to look like. So sometimes it's best not even look it up on the wall, but really to look at it with your paint samples, or to get a white piece of paper or a white back of the wrapping paper and put the paint chip up against that. To narrow the focus. So, or you need to narrow your focus looking at too many options. Again, look at what you're trying to get those motivations for colors out of and narrow it down. You want cool colors, you want warm colors, you want intense colors, you want light colors. Try to narrow down your focus a bit. And not paying attention to who's sitting into it. I showed you kind of my living room and how those are kind of subtle golds and greens and reds, some bright reds. But my kitchen is very primary triad. So it's rich reds and navy blues or cobalt blues and golden yellows or brown and yellows. And if you walk through my dining room to get into my kitchen, so you walk through these doors and you always walk through this way to go to my dining room. Well, I kept trying to tie my dining room to my living room. So I was trying to put these like golds, these brown down golds and these reds, and it was just not working. I painted my dining room probably 5 times. And then I was sitting there looking and go, why is this not working? And it's because it had to tie in with the kitchen, not with the family room. So look at what you're walking into and making sure that it leads in. The next group, let's see, questions to ask. So these are some things that you, when you're trying to decide on your color palette, the first thing I look at when I meet with someone and they want to change their room or redesign their room is I say, what are we doing in this room? How do you want this room to be used? What is the function of the room? The form, the way the room looks has to go after how the room is used. And that's going to be a motivator for what colors you want to use in that room. Do you want the room to feel, again, calming? So we're going to look at monochromatic colors. Or do you want the room to be energizing? We're going to look at complementary colors or colors that are on triad. Do you need to transit the space that's already established color palette? So again, if you're like starting with one space, we've already done another space, does it need to transition in? And what is already hard escaped in? So we're looking at things like, again, your flooring. You can't ignore those orange rust floors. Or if they're yellow, they really should be part of your design color choices. Or your cabinetry. What is your cabinetry? That might be a key indicator for the colors on your home and level. Colors in your granite. That should be also another indicator. We don't want to ignore it. We want to make sure that it's a seamless layer with the rest of the things in your home or on your main level. So looking at those things are hard to get in fireplaces. If you're not refacing it, which not everybody's doing, you want to look at the brick that's already there or the stone that's already there and pull those colors out from things that are hardscaped in, and that's a starting point. And then, do you have art collections that will direct your palette? This happens a lot. I can't tell you how many times I've had people say to me, like if we're trying to find something. Okay, here's an example of one of the slides I showed you earlier with this wall right here of the grass cloth, this sienna Tuscany feel home. And here are all of our materials that we use. Started with this rug, and with these other fabrics here, you can see this grass cloth piece right here. And it started with their trip to Venice. These are pictures they got in Venice. And you can see all the colors from here that were pulled out for this main level, basically whole main level, and how everything kind of goes together from those 2 small pictures. This is another example of a room that was designed around the art that I showed you earlier. This picture right here is a family picture someone painted of a family barbershop from the 1920s. And it has been passed down, and she reframed it, and we pulled all the colors, these grays, the blues, and these lime greens out of this picture for this family room. And it was a really fun honor to her parents. Here's another kitchen that I designed around this work of art. So we pulled out the color for these flat panel cabinets that my cabinet builders built, and stained the right color, and we have found this wonderful fabric for the balances, and this wall color that goes great with this granite here also. And ties it nicely with their floor, which we just kept. It was a nice golden base floor. This is an interesting client of mine whose husband hates the brick wall, but she loves the brick wall. So one of the interesting parts of my job is to be a mediator and a marriage counselor. Because I really have to, I really do want to hear everyone's point of view, even if one of them is wrong, or one of them thinks one of them is wrong, which I don't think. I think that everyone's point is valid. No matter if it doesn't build the room up, is still a valid point because they live in that house. So I will have to say, I really do want to hear Bob's point of view. Or whatever. So anyway, the husband is really lobbying hard to reface this fireplace. But we designed this living room with this rug and with this sectional and with these throw pillows around the current fireplace. This is another rug from Bassett Furniture, which is a heavy yarn knit wool. It's a gorgeous rug, really, really interesting rug. And the sectional looks really comfortable, but pulled from this great fireplace, which she hated, but we have to work with for now. And who knows if it's going to be that way in a year. Maybe we'll be refacing it, but either way. This is a theme-inspired room. 2 bathrooms here. This one is both beach themed. This one we have this glass jar here of sea glass and seashells. And we went to Home Depot and we found these tiles that went really, really well with these colors. Found this granite that is a beautiful complement to the tiles also. And then we pulled out a beautiful wall color that kind of ties it all together. And one thing that's interesting, the floor tile here, my client originally wanted to put in the shower, but it would have been very busy. And so we talked about how to make this look a little bit more elegant and rich by having a more solid tile. This is 12 by 24 inch tiles, which is a format that I use all the time now. Much more than 12 by 12. That's kind of a no-go. And it really, I think, looks like an elegant bathroom. This is a bathroom that we've kind of designed around this beautiful wall and these shelves right here. And it's a basement bathroom. It's not used very much, but we tried to make it be a fun and interesting, kind of elevated up with the towels and with other things. So what is your style? We're going to talk about styles, and you probably already know your style, but we're going to kind of go through these styles quickly because, again, that's going to guide your color choice, your design decisions, things that you might want to put in your home. I believe that most houses and most rooms will start at a certain style. But that style can be pushed one way or another way. It can be pushed to further emphasize that style and really reiterate it and really make it stronger. Or it can be pushed to downplay that style and to kind of blend it with another style to make it a little bit more something you'd like. For instance, I have a client who just bought a home. We're working on our whole house kind of one room at a time. And the house was built in the 90s and has this very old, heavy wood everywhere. So we're not going to do a kitchen, but it's like these carved appliques and carved quirly things and big chandelier-y, and she's like she doesn't like it at all. But there's things we can do to downplay that and to really make it more her style without having you've got her kitchen. Here is an example of some modern furniture, modern rooms, clean, empty, sparse, a lot of lacquer chrome. This is what most younger generation and even a lot of people want their home to look like. It's a combination of pieces that have some age and some antiquity, like this mid-century leading piece right here, but this track arm right here is more of a modern piece. But then they have a lot of earthy elements to it, clean lines, grayed down tones, and not cluttered. So not a lot of tchotchkes, not a lot of art, but maybe like one large art piece is a transitional kind of a look. You can get furniture for these, a lot of crane barrel looks, a lot of a pottery barn. Those are the kind of homes that a lot of young generation are looking to have this kind of look there. A lot of sectionals. People love sectionals. I don't always love sectionals. People will say, I want a sectional, and will really dissect it and make sure that they really do want a sectional. Because sometimes they just want a sectional because that's what they see and that's what they think they need to have, but it's not always appropriate for the space, for how you use your space. Here is an example of arts and crafts mission style, which you're all familiar with, Andrew Lloyd Wright and Frank Lloyd Wright, thank you. Wait a minute, that's musicals. Frank Lloyd Wright, thank you. Stick-leaf furniture, exposed beams, cherry, slates, things like that. And this is an example of a room that again starts out with some furniture that is very classical and traditional. This English armchair, these slipper chairs, but it's pushed toward this kind of Mediterranean style. And the things that they added to it, like they hardscaped in this carved fireplace mantle. They have this wall, this European wall hanging, the dark stained woodwork, these heavy carved legs on this coffee table here. So they pushed this kind of mix of traditional, pushed it toward a Mediterranean feel. Here is one of my favorite rooms in the whole world. This is one of my favorite clients. I actually did her whole house with her, transformed every bathroom and a lot of her other rooms. But she started with a lot of these treasures. She has inherited pieces. She's bought pieces over the years for 30 years. And then she finds amazing things that consign stores and thrift stores, like amazing. This woman has got a knack like you would not believe. But she has these gorgeous rugs and these gorgeous pieces. And it's a really beautiful example of classic, traditional, colonial style, which I see all the time in Virginia, in this area. But she's furthered it by so many different things here. When I started working with her, she had those white walls with no paint color at all. And this is a Santorini blue on a paint strip, Benjamin paint strip, is the third color down. This is the first color on that paint strip called Glass Slipper. So it's a lighter version of Santorini blue. Beautiful, elegant blue. And then we got these beautiful yellow gold silk panels that she also has in different parts of her house. We recovered different furniture and really kind of pulled it together. But she's done a lot of this on her own. I just kind of helped her really elevate the space and kind of tie it all together and really give consistency of that elegance. Here are some different elements that she has used to really emphasize that classic style. One of which is my favorite. These chairs right here were her grandmother's or her aunt's chairs, I think the grandmother's chairs, with the original toile, colored toile fabric on them. They are killer. They are gorgeous. And she asked me when she got them to recover these. I'm like, no, don't ever recover those. And put them in your room to me, please. I love these chairs. There's these lamps, these fabulous pieces that her and her husband bought early in their marriage. They saved up to buy, and now they're gorgeous. These chairs around this round table, someone had in their attic, and she had them recovered and rebuilt, and they're small chairs that fit perfectly around this table. This light fixture we looked for a long time, and this was a beautiful light fixture which you can see. Here's another example, though, of something that you can do to further style. These are just like an art book collection series here, and a specimen series, which really kind of further that whole classical traditional look, which can easily be done. This is a before picture of a room. A client of mine bought a new house, and they hated this room. So this is the before picture, and I'll show you in a second the after, what we ended up doing. But it's a good example of a rustic colonial. So this is a mixture of kind of high and low. So you've got this very knotty pine, distressed kind of fireplace here. You've got these benches, these raw benches over here. This woodwork, exposed wood trim here. Then you've got this, kind of an old school shabby rug. It's a great rug, and then you've got some nice furniture pieces here for this dining room. And it worked great. It's a great example of rustic colonial. Here's the same room once we transformed it, and once it met my client's needs. So they had these beautiful pieces here, these mid-century pieces here. This couch and this side chair here, and this table right here, were inherited from my client's husband's mother. And these pieces were gorgeous with the original mustard colored fabric. They are amazing. And so we built the room around that, took off the chair rail, kept the same wood trim and the same crown molding here, destroyed the fireplace. I didn't know that could happen. They hated the fireplace, almost didn't buy the house because of the fireplace. So I said, no, we absolutely can get rid of that and make it something that you love. This is a great example of earthy, modern, that is very popular. We also got this great cowhide rug from our house that gives that texture and that richness, and it really looks beautiful with a lot of their modern things like this coffee table, their different art pieces that they have. So I love this room. I'll show you again the before and the after the same room. And find the perfect gray again for this room here, just a neutral backdrop for all of their beautiful rustings. And then the rust, we really had to play up because it's in the wood here. It's in, and we really had to make sure that we elevated that, so we have it in the rug here and the different furniture pieces. These two leather side chairs are from Restoration Hardware that kind of really nicely also work in that room. Another style is cottage, which I think is a revamped shabby chic kind of, but shabby chic has a lot of different elements to it. This again is a lot of Restoration Hardware type of a look. I love the mix of the high and the low again, the rustic and the elegant. Barn doors, all rage. I'm putting them in everywhere. They're all over now, really easy to find. You can find them on wayfair.com. They're used in all different places. They're a really great architectural element that is industrial is another slide we'll get to in a minute, but it shows this basically the mechanics is what you want to show, the industrial stuff. I love global rooms, and you know, Virginia is amazing to me. I get so excited. I get excited about interior design in general and working with new people, but this area is crazy. People travel and have these treasures. I had a client send me a picture of some antique hats. She's like, we have to work this into the displays that we're doing. I'm like, these hats are insane. Each one of these is like a treasure. And it happens over and over again with these global things. People will pull out treasures from their house and be like, well, do you have anything you collected? And they're like, oh yeah, I have this pottery, or oh yeah, I have these masks. And I'm like, oh my gosh, these are great. Or that they've inherited. So there's a lot of global fill out there. And I think even adding this first, or introducing even a few global elements in a home will give it a richness and elegance and a real interesting feel to it. Here's a couple examples of a room, like done a stock photo of kind of a global look. Here's a room I worked with a very young couple. She had this picture right here from Pier 1, actually. And it's got this beautiful sky blue in it, kind of a great steely blue, grayed down blue. And then it had all oranges and reds. And that was the only thing she wanted to keep. She was renting this house, and it was like a big, much bigger house than she had. And so we furnished the whole entire room. And so she wanted to have kind of a global feel to it, and kind of funky and interesting and different. So we cooled it down with these two exact couches. These are from Calico Corners. Got this rug. Actually, this is a thick silk shag from Home Depot. And I found these wonderful vellum, yellow vellum suitcases at a barn sale. And I love them. There's 4 different side tables here. They're all different. Each one of them is different. Yeah, I wish you could see the other two. This piece over here is from our house, which is the exact steel gray blue color that we needed to have. So it's a nice decorative piece. And then I have these orange, these are zebra print. These are orange zebra print ottomans, which are extra seating or kind of a coffee table that she can use different ways. So this is a really fun room to do. Really global, kind of started from scratch. So she didn't collect this stuff over time, but we made it have that global feel. Here's an example of a client, again, on a great picture that has a lot of different treasures. Here's some masks that I have her frame, and then we actually lit. And we added some global fabric. I'll show this in a minute again. Here's an example of something in my kitchen. So I have kind of this is a blue plaid with the red kind of holding it up. But I have these lights that I found. I was actually with a client at Home Goods, and we were looking at lighting, and I saw these Moroccan lanterns that were these red and blue, exact in my kitchen. And I was like freaking out, trying to be calm. I was like, I know you're paying me by the hour, but I'm gonna go get a cart really fast. I'll be right back. Go get a cart and come back, and I put in everything up. Oh, these are my lamps. They're like perfect. And my husband's real handy. He rewired them. They were actually lamps that sit on the ground, and they had a plug down here. And he rewired them to have the bulb come out, and then hung them over my kitchen sink. And I love them. So we have other global elements in my kitchen also. That's kind of transitioning from a French country kitchen to more of a global feel to a European feel. But I love adding those global elements when you can have them. Industrial, like I say, is all the rage. And one way to really add an industrial feel is through light fixtures. And not everybody likes industrial, but if you do, here are some ways to kind of add a more current feel to your home. This is a light fixture that I just had a client install, like a few days ago actually. Here's the boxes. She was so excited about it. She sent them to me because my electrician just got them wired. And one of the industrial thing is, again, that look is something that looks like warehouse look to it. Some exposed metal, exposed wood, things that show the gears and things like that. Here is Edison bulbs, which are not installed in these light fixtures, but they look great there. One trick for her, she had a long table, a long dining room, and one light fixture over it. So here we have just 2 light fixtures, but I've done 3 also. And if this were a little bit smaller, we got a larger version of it, I would have done 3 light fixtures over her dining room table, because it's a separate room. And that's a trick too, to make that room feel more correctly proportioned, correctly scaled, is to look at adding more than one light fixture over your dining room table. If it's always set up and always long, you have the space to do that. Here's, I'll show you this kitchen again in a minute. But this is an example of some industrial elements in this one of my favorite kitchens ever. We have this industrial kind of schoolhouse light. This, you can't see it very well, but it's got kind of a teal green in it. It's got kind of different colors in it, patina. We have an industrial exposed metal exhaust system here, and these chairs here are also more of a have an industrial feel to them. There are so many examples of industrial. I just went on a big parade of homes in February out in St. George, Utah. So fun. I mean, that was like one of the coolest things I do on occasion, try to get there at least every other year. 30 homes by these builders. They show off their work. They're all high-end homes. It's really an amazing thing to do. It's very geographically based, though. I talked to one of the builders, and he said, "You must love coming out here and looking at all these different styles." And I was kind of like, "Well, it's pretty similar. A lot of these styles look very similar." But one thing that was similar in all of them was this very industrial feel. And here's a picture from one of the homes there, and this epitomizes a lot of industrial look with exposed brick, with the lighting, with the gears over here, and with the ceiling that has a wood feel to it too. I love earthy elements. So earthiness is a style, but not really so much because it's kind of an add-on. I think that if you add earthy elements to almost any room, so in a traditional classic living room like I showed you, that can be plants, or flowers, or even things that have different floral things in them, like botanicals, things like that. That's an earthy element there. In a modern home, it's going to be gigantic plate glass windows without any window treatments on them, showing the outside. That's the earthy element there. In a global field, you're going to have carved wood, or things that have kind of that patina, that rustic patina. In mission style, obviously, there's tons of earthy elements everywhere in exposed beams. So every style should have some earthy elements to it, which will give it richness and really add nice layers to it. Here we have some examples of something that was out of that parade of homes. I would say 90 or 95% of all the flooring in these gigantic homes were these wood-look tiles. So these are porcelain tiles that look just like wood. And in St. George, Utah, it's really hot. So the tiles work really well. They're nice and cool, but they're also durable. They're really great product that is out there now. Over the last, I put it in a few bathrooms, I'd say probably starting maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and now there's like so many varieties, so many different formats, colors, styles. You can see this is actually a herringbone pattern, but you can see the shape of it right here is a 48 by 24 format. So, and then you can lay it to look like a herringbone that's much more intricate than it actually is. So there's lots of great options there. Here are some other ways you can add an earthy element just by painting the color, earthy color, which I pulled from this, the fireplace right here. And in the fireplace backstone, we've got these natural wood grain walls here. We also have something like this tree right here, if you can see that. A lot of places like West Elm are going to have dried tree branches, things like that. Here, live edge cabinetry and tables and things is really popular right now. Bassett Furniture has a whole entire line of tables and side tables that have live edge on them. So if you love that, it's a great place to start. Look for something like that. There are a lot of other style identities that will kind of pop up here. I've kind of just touched on a few of them, but here are some others that are out there. I don't want to discredit them. I'm sure that you guys might have different ones, but in our area, the ones that we mostly that I've highlighted on are the ones I mostly work with people. Number 4 is Art Deco. Art Deco. I don't know why that's not showing up. Design from scratch. Here's this kitchen again. Now, I love working with this client. We did her whole house. And her kitchen was one of the first things. So she said to me, when I said, "What do you want your kitchen to look like?" And she said, "I'll show you what I want my kitchen to look like." And it was this freeze-frame picture from Pride and Prejudice. And I don't know if this is an exact picture, but it was teal green with the golden. I thought it had a shawl, but I couldn't find that. And this is what it actually looked like. The golden and the red tones with that really beautiful teal green. This is what I want it to feel like and look like. We were fortunate enough to find this incredible granite that was, of course, an exotic granite that is called Green Fire. And it has that teal green in it and stripes of red. She's got gorgeous red rugs right next to this room. Right over here on this side of the room, actually, is her family room. And off to the side of her, it's her living room that has these really rich colors in it, too. And so this Green Fire is this, and we ran it up. I had this island so that it has this nice continuum up the back of this industrial again exhaust here. So you see the green fire at a horizontal plane and a vertical plane. And I don't have any backsplash there. I'm not a huge fan of decorative tile backsplashes, personally. I think it kind of can distract sometimes, and I prefer just a simple 4 to sometimes 6 inch self backsplash from the counter. Here we did a perimeter, not in the exotic, and something that's more neutral. This is just Virginia Mist, which is a black with a little bit of a gray streak in it, granite. And I love this. She also has a lot of things to display. So she gave up storage to display some of her more rustic bases and lugs and things, which really also add to this beautiful design of this awesome kitchen. Here's a room that we also, the motivation for this was their art collection. This is a family I worked with that downsized from a large home to an older living, over 55-year-old complex, duplex, not condo, it's like, whole community, thank you, community. And what I do when I work with people in projects like this is we start with the floor plan of the place they're moving to and look at every single room and every single piece of furniture, every single piece of art, and say, where will it go in your new home? And nothing is moved to that downsized home that does not have an assigned place. So this series of 3 right here was going down her stairwell. And she loved, her and her husband both love this art here. And there's a wonderful purple color in here. So I said, this can go right in your entryway, because it's kind of too narrow for a table or a chair or anything like that. But high impact. And this whole area is 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. It's a pretty good size, really beautiful, great size. But everything has to transition from one space to the next. And they were fortunate enough to start from scratch in here. They tried to bring over some of the furniture pieces, but it didn't really work for this living room. So we started with this art, and we said, okay, we know we want to go with purples. Let's go look at rugs and see what we can find with purples. We found this amazing rug at Bloomingdale's that was the right size, the right color, the right quality, and the right price. It's really, really hard to find that. And so when you're looking for rugs, and people say, I want to paint my walls, and then we'll find stuff later. I'm like, you gotta find the rug first, because there's sometimes like 2 options that meet your budget, your color, your style, and your size needs. Sometimes there's one choice, and I'm like, this is the only rug that works. So that I can choose, but I have an unlimited amount of paint colors, that I can then tweak to go exactly with the rug. So this rug has this gorgeous purple. It's so beautiful. And then it ended up having this beautiful light blue. It's kind of like a green down blue. It's gorgeous, called palladium blue. And so we built the whole main level around this purple and this really light palladium blue color. And this was a plug-in right here. There was a plug-in fireplace that looked terrific on this big blank wall. And so my cabinet builders built this custom piece right here. It's only 18 inches deep, so it doesn't take a lot of floor space, but it has all this closed storage right here and right here. Also, there's 2 pillars. There's one right here and another pillar, we can see right here and right here, that are not centered on the wall. So it was really weird to design this space because you needed to have this kind of extra space right here so the TV could center between the 2 pillars right here, against this wall over here. So we started with the husband's TV size. And we said, okay, what size TV do you want? And then we designed the wall unit around the specific TV size, and the husband was like, I gotta have this size TV. And then we also had to stay in the parameters of not encroaching too much in the living space. We were also fortunate enough to find this gorgeous light fixture. It's like serpentine. It has a very Tiffany kind of feel to it with the different glass pieces. We were looking for light fixtures and a big white showroom in Chantilly, and I just happened to see that and said, oh my gosh, I was just with the husband, not with the wife. I'm like, oh, that is awesome. Try to look at this one. And we both loved it. And it works perfectly with scale. And it's like a structural piece, it's like a sculptural piece. Like they have a ton of sculpture everywhere, you can see here. So it's the other side of the room over here is the sculptural light fixture, and the wall opposite that is where you have this. So this was a fun room to design. One other thing I'll show you here is this window treatments. So these are to the side right here, and they have a band on the edge of the purple that is the exact same color as in the entryway over here. So this is the opposite wall, and the window treatments are right here, opposite this. And then I have a really fine thin of this plain blue cording that's sitting inside there. So all really, the details kind of are just seamlessly layered together. It's great. The furniture here was the right size and scale for this room, but they tried other furniture first. They tried to bring over their stuff and it was too big. So these are pieces that are from Crate and Barrel, actually. And so are these two bunching tables are also from Crate and Barrel. This is a room that we started with the rug they already had. So this client, I don't have a before picture on here, but she had this beautiful rug and nothing went with it. In this gigantic room. So here's this room, over to the side here is one big open space. And the dining table is kind of off to the side here. And none of it went with this gorgeous rug. So what we did was we kept the rug, and I pulled all the fabrics from that rug. There's this beautiful gray-green blue right here. It's a really beautiful color. And then there's a lot of rust, and her floor is rust. And she was ignoring that. So we pulled out of it, her colors were the green, gray, blue, and the rust. And you can see up here, this was art she already had. I have it over the couch right here. It was in a different place. We brought it with us to Calico Corners, and we pulled out everything from, I had the picture up on my iPad of the rug, and we pulled all the fabrics that went with the rug. So we have this beautiful bird fabric that is now this chair, with this velvet pillow of the rust in it, to really bring out the rust from the birds. You can see it right here. Gorgeous chair. This is the ottoman. She was brave enough to go with this cheetah print on her big ottoman right here that she uses seating and other things you can use that for. And this is her couch. No, that's not her couch. This is recovered, these chairs right here. Her couch is the velvet. I don't see the velvet picture, the velvet print there, but this is this beautiful velvet. It's in a deeper shade than the walls were. So I love this whole, to show if you already have the rug. Now, if you're buying any rug, there are some guidelines, which people say are rules, but I think are just tricks and guidelines. I sometimes do a disclaimer and say, this is a Kim Johnson opinion, not an interior designer recommendation. So a Kim Johnson opinion is I hate rugs like this. That's just my opinion. I think that they look really cheap and like something you have in your bathroom that you had to put in your living room. So I really have a strong opinion about too small rugs in any room. I think it just looks really cheap. So the first thing is to look at your budget again and to decide if you can to get the biggest rug you can get within your budget, which might mean you get a lower quality rug but a correct sized rug. So the best size for a room is obviously the biggest rug. And when I start with a client, I'll do two different parameters. I'll say, what is the largest we can have in a room, and what is the smallest we can have in a room? Because wouldn't it be lovely if all rugs were all 9 by 12, or 8 by 10, or 5 by 8? It would be awesome if we could get some consistency in this market, but we cannot. It is not possible. So unfortunately, I'm always struggling with I want a perfect 9 by 12 rug, and it's 8.3 by 14.9. I'm like, no, I want this right rug. So again, rugs are difficult sometimes. The right is great though. So again, start with the size and say, what is the biggest rug that I can get? How much can I afford to spend on this rug? Is it the right color? And can I get the best quality rug that I can afford? Quality is a trick that you can use in looking for quality. The more, and you might already know this, but the denser the rug, the higher the quality. So you push apart the strands of the rug, and the harder it is to get to that base of the rug, the higher the quality of the rug is. In your bedroom, there are 3 kind of different options that you can use for the bedroom, all of which are okay, or correct. The best one, obviously, is to have the rug back up against the wall. It doesn't really show it here. With all of this, both side tables, front and back legs on it, and all of the bed up against the wall. That's the best look. Then you can have the rug, though, which will also work, which I do more often, more frequently, in front of the legs of the front legs of the side tables. And then, the budget plan. is to have 2 runners on either side of the bed, which again, it always looks like a budget plan to me. So I recommend not doing it. So that's the bedroom and the living room. The dining room, I personally do not believe, this is not an interior designer opinion, this is a Kim Johnson opinion, that you do not need a rug in your dining room. Some classic traditional homes do, because it anchors it and it gives it that layer, because in classic traditional colonial look, federalist kind of look, you want to have more layers and more richness that you add to a room. But I personally feel like it is better not to have a rug in the dining room because I'm really practical. I'm all about function first. And rugs in dining rooms sometimes are just not practical or functional. And one of those is show, I also love to entertain. And I feel like when you have people in your home, you should make them feel comfortable and welcoming and not give them stumbling blocks. And it's a stumbling block sometimes to have a rug that is too small that the legs of the chair get stuck on. And you're like, you know, you're like punching up the rug and it doesn't really work. So if you're going to have a rug in your dining room, be kind to your friends or to your guests and have a rug that is correctly proportioned for your dining room table and chairs. And that's usually about 3 feet out on all edges of your dining room table. Usually that works pretty well, having a chair all the way out. So if you have a dining room table, measure that, go 3 feet out all the way around, and that should give you a good clue for the correct size dining room rug that you hopefully can find in your budget, your style, and your quality and your size. Here's a new rug. I actually got this rug from Bassett Furniture, and we pulled out these 2 beautiful kind of a steel color. This is a transitional room with lots of global effects. We're going to look at this room again with collections. And you can see how I pull in different fabrics to go with the rug. This is another room that we got again, this rug from Bassett Furniture. These are the different styles there. She already had this fabric, this chair fabric, my client did, and wanted to have it in her balances in her sunroom. And so she was going for these beautiful, this is what we use for the couches. And this fabric down here is the gray velvet for the ottoman here. But she wanted to go with another color like this for her rug. And we looked at lots of different options, but the blue, pulling out the blue of these little accents, the butterfly, the dragonflies, really made all the difference. And really makes this room much more interesting by giving that contrast to kind of the reds. So now let's talk about spatial balance and kind of how we can make a room feel proportionally correct. One rule of thumb that I use all the time in dividing spaces is to put a tape measure at my face and tape measure at your face and walk back 8 feet. And we can actually count the blocks here and see how far 8 feet is from one to one. And as soon as I get further than 8 feet, I'm like, hello, how are you? You have to yell across the room and there's a disconnect. So I try to make sure all conversation areas are no more than 8 to 9 feet. I try to go for 8 feet apart from each other. And that way you're actually able to have a conversation with somebody in a room. So you can start with the central focal point. You can say, my focal point is either the TV, the fireplace, center of the room, whatever it is, and then you want to kind of arrange that kind of 8-foot parameter around that central place. Okay? That's one guideline. Please, if you have a couch or any other furniture up against your walls, go home and pull it at least 3 inches away from the wall. Just please, promise me. Raise your hand. I will move right now. Because that is like not a rule. Again, it's not really a rule. It's a recommendation. But it makes a huge difference in how your room feels when you have it hugging against the walls or when you pull it in just a little bit even. Really does draw people into the room. It's a small thing that you can all go home and make a big change in your room. A back of the couch, 2 inches to the room, divides the room. If that's intentional, that is great. There are some times where I want to divide the room. I want you to walk in and I want you to see, this is now this space. But there's other times where it cuts off the room, where it is not inviting, where it stops you from entering the room. So if you're going to use the back of a couch or back of furniture, do it intentionally. Have a place for every seated person to put down a glass or a plate. So sit in your room, sit in every place in your living room, and see if you can easily put out a glass of wine or put down a plate. If you can't, you need an occasional table. If you have 5 different places they can put it down, you have too many occasional tables. It might be in back of I was just at a client's house just yesterday actually, and she asked me if she needed a little table next to this chair. But that chair was up against a half wall. And I said, no, they can just reach behind them and put a glass right there. You do not need to add another small table to this room. So just look around and kind of monitor your table needs or your table excesses. Okay, analyze different functions of the room and establish task zones. This is again key to kind of looking at the functionality of the room and how the space is used. If it's underused, make it more functional. Give it more task zones. Give it a library area. Give it a reading area. Give it a game area. Give it a computer area. Give it a relaxing area. Give it a small conversation intimate area. Give it a coffee area. Figure out different zones that you can put in a large room to make it more comfortable and more practical and more functional for you. And again, larger rooms need more furniture groupings. You want to make sure you have a traffic path in your different rooms. 36 inches is code for hallways, so people feel comfortable with a 36-inch path. If it's narrower than that, they're kind of like, especially if they're big like me, they're like really like, okay. So make sure that you have comfortable traffic paths in your different rooms when you're looking at spatial balance. So now we're going to move on. We talked about consistency in color and really consistency in style. And now the third one is kind of a real kicker. Consistency in quality. So if you figured out your proportions, your placement, your color, and all that was established, did you establish that back in the 1980s? Yeah. And if you did, have you changed those fabrics or those colors since then? Even if you don't sit on the couch, and even if it's in great shape, the quality might not be equal to the rest of the house. People become blind. And I'm the fault everybody is to the imperfections in your house or in your style of design. They overlook the shabby couch. They overlook the worn material. They overlook something that they inherited years ago that is kind of falling apart, kind of rickety, or was a yard sale and really looks really low quality. I do not mean that things that are inexpensive are not good quality. I love finding great deals. I love using things from IKEA if they work with the space and if they look high quality. What I mean is look at it very carefully and make sure that it is of good quality. And make sure that your other things are based on good quality furnishings. The juxtaposition between high and low quality really is emphasized when they're in the same room. So if you have something of high quality next to something that is very low quality, very worn, very shabby, very falling apart, it makes that look even worse, and it brings down the higher quality item. I feel like everything that's in a room should elevate that space. It should bring it up. And that's kind of a code word that I use with my clients all the time. I'm like, is this elevating your space? Is this highlighting the quality, the color, and the style that you want to have? Or is it bringing it down? If it's bringing it down, move to the basement. Until we work on the basement, and then we have to Craigslist it, or give it away or something. Because you really want to look carefully, look intentionally at each item, small furnishings, big furnishings, and make sure that they're in there on purpose. Not just that they've been thrown in there, and that they're bringing the space down. Okay. So here's some of my favorite examples of what's I'm sure in some of your homes. I see this quite frequently. Floral couches were awesome in the 80s. And they're still in wonderful shape. This couch has probably been sat on, like 40 times in the last 30 years in this wonderful high-end living room. These gorgeous rugs. And these were expensive pieces of furniture when they were bought. These side chairs over here, these slipper chairs here, and this beautiful couch. Really horrific. I'm sorry. If you have this couch, which I see all the time, it is not bringing up the space, no matter how in good shape it is. Here's the same room. We did not change the furniture. We just recovered all of her furniture to the correct quality and color of her rugs and of her room and of the style. So I was able to find 7 different fabrics that work beautifully with her gorgeous rugs. This crewel work, this red silk, this beautiful toile, this mini print, and then this bee fabric, this very traditional bee fabric, and then this is an off-white color here that I have bound in the same navy cording. So here's the 2 rooms together. You can see kind of the before and after, and how it's consistent again with the color of the rugs, and with the style of the room, and the style of the furnishings, and the okay, so we're doing so much gave me time today. Oh my goodness. Okay, too many florals in our room does not work. We will, and you can see how this room here changed when I pulled out the florals. We should have in a room 1 floral and no more than 1 floral. Maybe that's in your rug. A plaid, a stripe, several mini prints of different scales and sizes. Talking about collections. Here's some different ways to display collections, and looking in your drawers, looking in your attics for different things that you can display. Here's some different ways. I'd love to go through these with you all sometime, but I'm going to have to race through these real quickly. This is a client that she's actually an artist, and she just used her wall as a gallery. This is a client that had these in a bin and needed to fill these space, and we just used stock frames from Home Depot, Michael's, and frame these beautiful boutiques. If you don't have collections and you need to fill a space, create a collection. Here is from art books. Here's some plates that we use to just start collecting them in the right colors and to fill that space above the doorway. Family pictures are great, and one recommendation is to always have the same mats and the same colored frame, and it really looks like a gallery and really gives you a kind of a wallpaper kind of a look. And you don't always have to go buy new frames. If you want to spray paint your frames to give them cohesion, I recommend spray painting them in black or white, and it really looks crisp, and you don't have to go buy new frames. Here are some displays that were with decadence. This is again at the Parade of Homes. This was a huge home of Amanda Single, and she had hit a 12,000-foot home, and 3,000 of that was his trophy room. It was really beautiful. This is an entranceway of a home. This was a 1970s curio that we had this gold leaf and lacquer on the inside with this persimmon color that was in her china. Here's a way to hang your collections. Always use a template. I trace these things, put them on craft paper or newspaper, and put those on the wall and move them all around. And then put the nail right where it needs to go through that paper and then hang it. On the floor, when it's an odd shapes like this, I taped out on the floor the same space that I had on the wall, and then translated them from the floor up to the wall. Tricks to displays: make templates, use risers to vary your heights. Asymmetrical arrangements are really interesting, but not always a go-to. Symmetry is also beautiful if you're more comfortable with that. Use odd numbers, obviously. If you have bookshelves, you can add more interest by varying the heights of those bookshelves. And it's easier to do a wall arrangement that doesn't have exactness needed in it. Bathrooms, we're going to talk a little bit about that. Easy upgrades here are shower curtains, towels, floor rugs, changing the art, vanity pulls, and light fixtures, and a mirror. Sometimes there's a sink faucet, and it really depends on your skill level. Painting, sometimes it's harder to do than you think. Moving wallpaper, changing the toilet, countertop, vanity. There's lots of different things you can do that's easy to make a huge difference. Here is a really cheap upgrade and transformation of a bathroom. We just took the wallpaper down, changed the flooring here, and the vanity and the light fixture, added this beautiful mural, painted the ceiling. This was a very inexpensive, drastic change. This was even less expensive. All we did here was change the shower curtain, the accessories, and the wall color, and it totally transformed that space. Here are 2 half baths that were done at a yoga studio that I designed. And you can see how horrible the bathrooms were before. These new bathrooms are based on these graphic stretched canvases that I use quite frequently from a online design source called Design with a Z. And I just chose 2 that would go beautifully in these bathrooms and change the light fixture, again, from over the counter to beautiful thing light fixtures here. Anything goes in tile design here. I love to there's no rules in that, and there's some really great fun examples of using the space. This is a tiny bathroom here. We had 12 inches between the edge of the toilet and the wall, and on the other side of this wall is their closet. So I put a sheet of plywood on the back of the closet, tiled that on the inside of this bathroom, and cut the guts out of the wall. So these towels are inset in the wall, and there's more space to get from the shower to the front of the toilet. I also did the same thing in this bathroom, on this wall here, which backed up against the main level closet. The other tricky thing I did in this bathroom was you walked by the front of the house here, and it was literally, there was a flower bed this wall, getting to the front door. So you could look right into that bathroom. So these were always bolted shut, closed, and no light would come in here. So I have worked for years with this leaded glass designer, and we put these lights on here. All the light comes through, but it's opaque. It's a really great transformation. And this is my last slide. This is doing a kitchen on a budget. So I love designing kitchens and completely transforming them, but there are ways to do upgrades to your kitchen. This is a perfect example of a really tight budget and a really tight timeline. We changed the floor to an in-stock Home Depot 12 by 24 floor. It was a vinyl sheet before. The countertop is an in-stock Formica countertop. And this is a nice backsplash. We painted the cabinets and put new poles on them and painted the walls. And it was a complete transformation for really under $1,000. It's really amazing. So that's the end of my presentation. I know you have questions. I really hope that you're able to make some changes today. Like go home, move your furniture away from the walls. At least, and really feel empowered to make changes on your own, to go forth with confidence in all your design decisions, and hopefully you'll have beautiful homes that you're proud of and love to be in and bring you peace and happiness. So